Boas tardes.
Boa tarde.
Estou a dar aqui um compassinho de espera para dar tempo para mais pessoas entrarem. Boa tarde, quem acabou de entrar.
Iniciamos, não?
Sim, podemos iniciar. Vamos começando calmamente. Ora, muito boa tarde a todos. Muito obrigado por estarem aqui presentes connosco. É um gosto, mais uma vez, estarmos a fazer um novo webinar e contarmos com vários participantes. O meu nome é Ricardo Barroso, eu trabalho na Mobilitec como responsável clínico do departamento de R&D. Connosco temos também o colega Sérgio Roboredo, o responsável de produto do grupo Mobilitec. Sérgio, teu alô.
Olá, muito boa tarde. Faço as minhas palavras do Ricardo. Espero que todos tenham tido umas boas férias e aproveitamos agora uma boa reentrée com mais aqui uma sessão de partilha de conhecimento que tenho a certeza que irá correr bem e que vamos aprender aqui bastantes coisas novas. Sejam bem-vindos, muito obrigado.
Muito obrigado, Sérgio. E connosco temos também o Jacob, por parte do MUNEVO. Jacob, you can give you a hi to everyone.
Hi everybody. I'm Jacob from MUNEVO. I'm based in the Netherlands, but I'm from Munich, Germany, and excited to have so many people in the call.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you.
Pronto, o webinar vai ser feito em inglês, principalmente na parte do Jacob. Para quem está pela primeira vez no Microsoft Teams, é possível ativar as legendas ao vivo, para quem necessitar, está bem? Situa-se na barra do idioma e voz, tem que clicar nos 3 pontinhos no mais, está bem? Portanto, queria iniciar este webinar primeiro agradecendo a todos por estarem presentes, a quem nos conhece, mais uma vez agradecer por continuar a vir aos nossos webinars. Quem não nos conhece, desejar as boas-vindas pelo primeiro webinar e esperando que seja o primeiro de muitos de vocês. Connosco também temos sempre presente a PTO e gostaríamos aqui em nome do grupo agradecer mais uma vez por certificar a nossa apresentação, relembrando que no final quem quiser certificado de formação deve preencher um formulário que vai estar disponível sob a forma de QR Code ou de forms, através de link de forms que eu vou pôr depois no chat, mas só no final da apresentação, está bem? Portanto, inicio aqui também dando as boas-vindas ao Filipe Gonçalves, o terapeuta Filipe Gonçalves, fisioterapeuta da Apela e presidente da Apela, que está aqui connosco porque o produto, o MUNEVO, é um produto que de facto é bastante interessante para casos de esclerose lateral amiotrófica. E sendo assim, iria passar aqui a palavra ao terapeuta Filipe, o qual agradeço mais uma vez estar aqui presente, para falar um bocadinho sobre a Apela e para toda a gente conhecer aqui esta instituição.
Boa tarde, obrigado Ricardo, boa tarde a todos os presentes. Antes de mais agradecer o convite e na verdade esta oportunidade de estar aqui e partilhar só convosco um bocadinho o que é a Apela nesta porta de divulgação e no que a associação eventualmente em quem cursa com a sua necessidade poderá sentir ou procurar algum apoio. E tenho todo o gosto em estar aqui presente, principalmente com a Mobilitec, que é um parceiro e o grupo já de longa data da associação. Eu não vos gostaria de amassar muito tempo, mas aproveitando aqui a oportunidade de falar-vos um bocadinho sobre o que é a associação. Espero que todos nos estejam a ver. Portanto, a APELA é a Associação Portuguesa de Esclerose Lateral Amiotrófica. Já existe há 27 anos. Nós começámos a nossa jornada, como todas as associações, pelas necessidades partilhadas dos doentes, de cuidadores, dos corpos clínicos que obviamente sentem as lacunas que existem muitas vezes sociais e comunitárias e que procuram este apoio, muitas vezes civil, para colmatar as mesmas. E mais tarde, já em 2016, abrimos o Espaço do Porto, onde eu neste momento até estou a falar para convosco. Obviamente nós já sabemos que as doenças neuromusculares, em particular a ela, pela sua rapidez, acaba por ser muito nefasta até no sentido das locações, e o nosso trabalho é sempre de uma maneira quase sustentável, de lutar contra as diferentes barreiras, como é que nós descentralizamos o apoio ou podemos chegar mais longe, e aqui mais uma vez também dizer que muito isto é possível com as sinergias com as diferentes empresas e players que existem, que muitas vezes são quem permite ir à casa das pessoas, estar em casa das pessoas, levar material, dar apoio prático e tangível no terreno. Portanto, a apela surge não só para os doentes e cuidadores, mas também para muitas ações de formação para cuidadores formais e, obviamente, todo o trabalho direto e indireto com os profissionais que cursam com a doença. Isto é um pequeno vídeo, eu vou colocar.
Are the kids looking forward to it?
They've already heard there's a kids club, so we probably won't see them half the time.
Or at least you get a chance to relax.
Yes. And maybe we'll do that bungee jump.
I'm going to stay firmly by the pool. Are you sure you're all right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's nothing.
Please, just book an appointment.
I have some bad news. I'm so sorry.
Treat me like an invalid.
Daddy, can you come play outside?
I can't do this anymore.
Happy birthday, Daddy.
She wrapped it herself. You'll have to help him open it, darling.
É neste contexto e nestes desafios que nós sabemos que doenças insidiosas, rápidas, podem fazer toda a diferença, todo o suporte, muitas vezes técnico e de apoio instrumental e ambiental para que as jornadas, que muitas vezes são cursadas com um fado logo ao início e que aparentemente nos últimos anos continuam a sobreponíveis ao estado antigo, tenham algum conforto no sentido de uma dignidade e de uma participação mais plena e neste caso é isto que nós estamos aqui a falar hoje, como o Ricardo introduziu muito bem. Só deixar algumas notas sobre ela. Nós sabemos que tem apesar de rara, tem uma incidência relativamente grande, estamos a falar de 2 por 3 por 100 mil, só que efetivamente tem de ter sempre rotativa, porque a sobrevida média ainda anda à volta dos 4 a 5 anos, desde o início dos sintomas e não desde o diagnóstico. Nós estimamos que existam cerca de 1.200 casos em Portugal, até pelo tratamento reluzol e pelos dados levantados a nível intra-hospitalar. Não há cura à data e nós, neste momento, enquanto associação, estamos em contacto com cerca de 720 famílias ao ano, isto relativamente a 2024. Também dizer como é que nós trabalhamos. Nós nunca queremos substituir os serviços intra- e extra-hospitalares, é sempre um complemento da comunidade e nesse serviço temos algumas valências, desde serviço social, fisioterapia, terapia da fala, aconselhamento jurídico, bancos de produtos de apoios ou apoios na articulação com os diferentes players, depois obviamente os congéneres nacionais e internacionais e toda a dinamização de grupo e de atividades que muitas vezes faz falta, sendo que aqui um grande problema que nós sentimos e se calhar vocês compreenderão bem, não só a rede de cuidados para os doentes, mas muitas vezes nesta prisão ou na participação que nós queremos dar aos doentes, o que é que nós temos para ajudar os cuidadores? Eu acho que os grandes desafios dos próximos 10 anos serão uma ferramenta muito válida dos cuidadores, como é que nós os podemos potenciar para que não fiquem também reféns destas doenças rápidas. Como eu vos disse há pouco, não vos maçando muito mais, estamos no Porto e em Lisboa, o desafio de centralizar é sempre complicado. Como é que nós estamos a fazer? Alguns dos trabalhos é feitos online e on demand. Isto funciona muito bem, por exemplo, nas tecnologias dos sistemas de alta aumentativos e alternativos à comunicação, via diferentes softwares, nomeadamente TeamViewer. Nós conseguimos programar e estar à distância na casa dos doentes, as diferentes fases, como desde o voice banking, o uso da própria AI, dos softwares de tecnologia, de controle de ambiente, etc. E depois, obviamente, todos os projetos de fins específicos que estamos com algumas zonas estratégicas com alguma presença regular e queremos continuar a estar, obviamente dependentes do budget orçamental. E temos feito deste ano já vários ciclos e conteúdos informativos a diferentes equipas de cuidados, de suporte paliativos e intra-extra-hospitalares, na verdade. Para acabar, e também porque acho que posso abusar aqui um bocadinho desta janela da oportunidade. Não sei se estão a par com o Ser Solidário do MBOA. O Ser Solidário tem sempre 6 causas a voto por mês. A Apela em setembro é uma delas, por isso se vocês quiserem participar e votar, até vos convido a entrarem no MBOA e a lerem um bocadinho da causa da Apela e das outras 5 que lá estão. Pelo menos informação não perdem e é sempre útil. Deixo-vos o contacto aqui da informação, depois eu até posso partilhar esta apresentação com a Mobilitech se quiserem e divulgar convosco. De qualquer dos modos, estamos sempre presentes e à vontade. Mais uma vez, a toda a equipa da Mobilitech agradecer o convite e espero que esta não seja profícua para todos vocês e, sem dúvida, para os doentes com ela e para a comunidade da ela será. Muito obrigado pelo tempo e pela paciência em me ouvirem.
Obrigado a nós, terapeuta Filipe. Pronto, de facto é importante partilharmos esta informação, até porque neste webinar temos clientes, temos também profissionais de saúde que, de certo, percebendo um bocadinho do que a Apela realiza, poderá aqui até recorrer e poderão aqui recorrer e ser certamente um complemento e uma instituição que terá um impacto enorme na saúde e no desempenho laboral destes profissionais. Muito obrigado mais uma vez, terapeuta Filipe. Foi um gosto. Foi um gosto e passaria agora então a palavra agora ao Jacob para apresentar aqui um bocadinho sobre o MUNEVO, tá bem? Só dizer que qualquer questão que tenham, que vamos fazer da seguinte forma: perguntas que queiram colocar sobre o produto, deixem no chat, nós no final vamos lê-las e vamos traduzi-las, se for o caso, se quiserem deixar em português. Se já tiver em inglês, lemos a pergunta. E qualquer pessoa que queira questionar alguma coisa, não se sinta bem à vontade com o inglês, nós estamos aqui para dar suporte, tá bem? Jacob, now here's your time. You can share the screen, and thank you so much to be here with us.
Perfect. Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Thanks for having me again. And yeah, so hi again. I'm Jakob. I'm operations manager at MUNEVO. I'm same as the company. I'm also from Munich in Germany. And I'm excited to present our product to you today in English, like I think Ricardo just said. If there's any questions in between because something is not understandable, please just interrupt me. Otherwise, we will have time in the end to ask all your questions and I will be happy to answer them. And I'm trying to keep the session short enough so we have enough time to answer any questions afterwards. Okay, so our product MUNEVO Drive. What is it generally? It is an alternative drive control system for electric wheelchairs using head movements. So MUNEVO Drive is a head control for electric wheelchairs. But it's actually a lot more than that. You can see it here on the picture. Our idea of our product is that MUNEVO Drive with the smart glass technology can become a control of everything or a lot of different things, from your wheelchair to your phone to your environment and so on. More about this later, but that's the general idea of our product. A head control for everything for people in electric wheelchairs. I quickly wanna go back to where this all started.
Sorry, Jacob, I don't
Yes.
know if you are switching the slides. We are still seeing the first one.
That's interesting.
Yeah, now we see the next one. Yeah.
That's a good remark. Okay, perfect. Why is that the case? Please see here. Is it now working?
Yeah, it's working. We are seeing the ideas originates.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, so let's start all the way back when this product started in Munich in 2015. it actually originated from a course at Technical University in Munich, where the current founders were researching what assistive technology can be done with smart glass technology by Google at this point. So this was 10 years ago. 2 years later, the founders team was formed and took over that project, took it out of university to start a company based on our technology. And then our company was founded in 2018, the MUNEVO GmbH in Germany. MUNEVO being a wordplay between Munich and evolution, so MUNEVO. In 2019, we got our product, MUNEVO Drive, that we're going to see in this presentation, got it approved as a medical product and launched it to the German market at that point. We had our first MUNEVO Drive users already 6 years ago now. So 2019, the first person in Germany was equipped with our product MUNEVO Drive. And then a lot happened after that. So 2019, everything kind of started with the first user. Now we're 5 years later. In the last 5 years, we entered a lot of different markets in the EU, outside of the EU, in the United States. We are counting more than 500 active users today. We've won many awards for the startup, for the product, for our research that we're doing. And we're active in over 20 countries at this point. The latest change now, 2025, is that we more and more work with bigger distributors in countries, which is also the reason I am allowed to present here today, because we're working with Mobilitech as our exclusive distributor for the Portuguese market. And as well as with Mobilitech in Portugal, we signed contracts with Permobil for a lot of countries in Europe, and Homebrace as another distributor. So this is currently where we're at, 2025. But I want to take all of you all the way back again to the initial idea, to what is the idea that sits behind the MUNEVO Drive system. And what I want you to do is, we're thinking about people, because it's a head control, that control their wheelchairs solely with their head. So we're talking about multiple sclerosis, ALS, high spinal cord injuries, maybe Duchenne or CP clients. So people that cannot use their hand sufficiently anymore to control their wheelchair. I mean, all of you know, for a lot of these diseases, especially the progressing ones, the head stays a functionality that can be used still quite long, even after losing the hand function. So I want you all to think about patients, people that you worked with in the past that were not able to steer their wheelchair with their hand anymore. For these patients in wheelchairs, there's different types of controls available on the market. Head arrays being probably the head arrays and gin joystick probably being the most present ones. Sometimes you might see also a sip and puff system, but all of these controls work really well for patients in different scenarios. But also all of these products have certain disadvantages that come with them, or certain issues that come with them. And that was kind of what sparked the idea back in 2015, 16, 17 for our current product. All of these devices are wheelchair mounted. Like if you look at the head array, it's mounted around your head. You're sitting in the wheelchair. The chin joystick is normally mounted on the wheelchair or in a collar around your neck. A sip and puff system is also a long arm that's mounted on the wheelchair. So all of these systems work, but they have this major issue of being mounted on the wheelchair, which means when a person on the chair sits perfectly in their chair, positioned in the middle, let's take a head array, the head array works great. But if a person just slightly moves in their chair, might it be because I go into a reclined position and I come back up, or because I'm slipping in the chair, or because I'm getting transitioned into a different wheelchair, or even just during the day, I might move my position slightly and I don't have the strength in my upper body to bring myself to center. Even just being off by a centimeter might cause the person in the wheelchair not being able to touch that right pad of the head array anymore. Same goes for gin joystick, same goes for sip and puff. So positioning is super, super important, or people might lose their ability to be in range for their alternative drive control. Another thing with a head array is that a person requires some physical strength to press the pads on a head array or move the joystick. So that means I'm not just tapping the head array, but usually I need to press the button a little bit with a proportional head array to drive my wheelchair. So there's some physical strength needed for example, using a head array. Another point with these systems is, as we said before, they're mounted around the head. So the person in the wheelchair has a lot of things being mounted around their head. This can be the pads on the side. This can be an additional switch. This might be another switch. So there's a lot of things that go all around 360 degrees around my face. Chin joystick, the same thing. I have this chin joystick that's constantly in front of my face, in front of my mouth, being a little more bulky and also a little more unhygienic. So where come we in now with our technology? So with our system, I'm hoping this is playing now. Our system is smart glass based. So our system is, if you look at the gentleman here in the wheelchair, he's just wearing a pair of smart glasses and controls everything on his chair just by head movements, without having anything mounted around his head, like a head array, without having anything in his face, like a gin joystick, and without having a straw in his mouth, like with a sip and puff. So why is this advantage? I mean, everything I mentioned before as a disadvantage is gonna be different here. This gentleman here will never get out of range for his driving device because he's wearing the driving device on his head. So no matter how I sit in the wheelchair, if I sit forwards to the right, if I sit further to the left, if I follow my chair forwards, no matter how I sit, the driving device is always where I am. So having a driving device that goes out of range is not an issue anymore with the MUNEVO Drive because it is always on my head, it is always where I am. So someone going back into recline, the glasses are on my head. I'm coming up again, the glasses are on my head. Someone falls forward in their chair, they can bring themselves up again with the smart glass because it's always centered around my head. Another big thing, and this is now a bad example because he has the chin joystick in this example still installed, but with the previous people, there's nothing mounted around the head anymore. I mean, we have a headrest behind the head, but there's no pads, no switches, nothing around the head except for the smart glass that we're using, which is actually just a pair of normal glass frames. So it is a lot less bulky. It's a lot less unhygienic because there's nothing that I have to have in my face, in my mouth. On uneven grounds, if my wheelchair is shaking, there's nothing that's like a chin joystick hitting my face. And there's also just nothing around me that's more stigmatizing as I have things around me that are part of my disability. Lastly, and that's maybe another point, is because we're using smart glass technology, we can also offer a lot more functionality, but I'm going to look into that a little bit later. So if I am going over here, quick summary again. So main difference is MUNEVO Drive is not mounted on the wheelchair. Comparing on the right side, this is the head array. Ours is just the smart glasses that the man here in the bottom wears. So it's worn on the head. We can calibrate it to your position, so it will never go out of range. The second thing is nothing mounted around the head. MUNEVO Drive is really just a pair of glasses that I'm wearing. And the third thing is, because we're using the little computer in the smart glass, there's a lot more functionality that we can use with our device compared to a head array, which is a lot more limited in functionalities. We also ran a research back then in 2019-20, which also included the link here. We're going to share this information through Mobilitech, through Sergio Ricardo later, so you can read through all of that, which was a comparison in driving different obstacle courses, comparing with a joystick compared to our driving device, which looked mainly for usability and also for safety. And while our device will be, in the beginning, there's a learning curve to it over driving it compared to, for example, a hand joystick. All people in the research and the study back then were able to drive their chairs safely and comfortable with our driving control, MUNEVO Drive, through all the obstacle courses. It is mostly working like a head array in the way we're driving the wheelchair, which I will also show in a second. So for people who come from different alternative drive controls like head array or gin joystick, there's not much of a unlearning or relearning to do because it's quite intuitive for them to use. Now I quickly want to look into what's part of our product. How does it work? We're going to go through this real quick because I mainly want to focus on the functionalities of the device again. Our product is super simple. As before, you just have the smart glass and a little adapter that connects to the wheelchair. So also if we talk about setting it up on a new wheelchair, maintaining things that can break, there's a lot less that needs to be installed mechanically, but also software-wise. So there's just a little adapter that connects to the wheelchair, and there's a smart glasses I'm wearing on my head. It is plug and play, so I plug it in and it directly works, also making user tests or assessments for the time I can use for trialing and using the device a lot shorter, a lot more efficient. Our smart glass has different features built in that are important for different functions we're using for the control. So the smart glass has a little display inside that sits here in front. It's a transparent display that hangs a little bit up in my vision. And it gives me the feedback of what I'm doing with my drive control. So it shows me, am I in drive? Am I in seating? Am I driving forwards? Am I driving backwards? So it is a visual feedback for people in the wheelchair. What am I controlling with my smart glass right now? The smart glass also has a speaker behind the right ear, which gives me the same feedback acoustically. So someone can have both the visual and the acoustic feedback to support them in what they're controlling with the smart glass. The smart glass also has a little microphone built in that we can use for voice control, for voice commands, which I'm going to also show towards the end, but which basically is exactly what it says is I can control the MUNEVO system with my voice by talking to the smart glass. Lastly, the smart glass also has a camera in it to take photos, to scan QR codes, and for other functionalities. So let's go to who is qualifying for this device to be using it, and what is kind of like the prerequisite, what is needed to control MUNEVO Drive or to use MUNEVO Drive. There's two main head gestures for MUNEVO that are needed and that are used to control the whole system. One gestures we call the driving gestures, and one are for menu navigation. The driving gestures are a tilting of the head. So I can drive the wheelchair left and right by tilting my head to left and tilting my head to the right. So by bringing my ear towards my shoulder, I can drive the chair left and right. This is kind of similar to a head array where I would tap the left and the right pad of the head array, just that there's nothing that I need to press. It's really just how my head is oriented. To drive the chair forwards, I am tilting my head up, a little bit like touching the head of a head array in the back. And to stop the chair, I can bring my head back to center or lower my head down. You realize when driving, my head turning does not control anything in the wheelchair. It's really just the tilting movement of the head that will drive left and right. And this is very important because when someone is driving with the wheelchair, and let's say they have a conversation with someone or they hear a sound on the side, turning my head to that side will not make my chair go in that direction. It is really just that tilting movement of the head that controls where I'm going. And that's also a lot safer because that means I can stop on a road, I can look left and right, I can talk to someone who's standing on my right side without my wheelchair actually moving in that direction. And only when I start tilting my head, the wheelchair will start moving in that direction. So this is for driving. For menu navigation means I'm switching between my slower and my faster driving profile. Or I am switching from driving to seating, to my recline. So everything that navigates the menu, a little bit like on the wheelchair, changing the profiles or clicking buttons on the joystick, or using for the head array, using an additional switch. All this is done with MUNEVO through rotations of the head. So from the center, if I do a quick rotation with my head to the right and to the left, meaning I'm looking to the right side and I'm coming back, or I'm looking to the left side and I'm coming back, it's a little bit like swiping with your nose on an iPad that would be in front of you. So doing this rotation will go into the menu left and right. To enter a menu or to select an item, I'm just giving a nod down, a little bit like saying yes. So if I drop my nose a little bit down, it will enter a menu or select a menu point. The opposite direction, so if I from the center do a small movement with my head upwards, I will be able to exit out of a menu and leave a menu. So this is the main gestures or required head movements. So this is also what would be required for someone to be able to use the device safely. It's not important that these movements are really big or have a big range. We can, and you'll see that in the next step, we can calibrate everything to a really small movement. So we don't need someone to tilt their head all the way right and all the way left. It's enough to move it just a little bit. The more important part is, are all these head gestures here comfortable and are they all controlled? So someone would always have to be able to bring their head into a center position by themselves, controlled, because that's stopping the chair. And then it doesn't matter how far they actually can move their head to the side. If they can bring their head back to center and there is some movement in all four directions, MUNEVO Drive would be a possible option. So once this is clear, how are the different driving controls working? If one of you had the smart glass on your head right now, we could do this as a practical exercise. But the first thing you need to do to use the MUNEVO Drive is we need to unlock the glasses. The glasses in a general setting are locked. Locked means I'm not accidentally driving the chair. Locked means my smart glass is not sending anything to the wheelchair. So I cannot accidentally drive the wheelchair. A tilt to the left side for 3 seconds unlocks the glasses. A tilt to the right side for 3 seconds locks the glasses. Once I'm unlocked, I can use the MUNEVO Drive control. When I'm done using it, I want to lock it again because this gives me the freedom of having a conversation with someone or taking a rest without having the issue of accidentally controlling the chair. When we unlock the glasses, what we see is we're going to see 3 icons on the screen. The screen being right in front of our eyes here, transparent, and it shows us in the basic menu, it shows us drive, it shows us seat, and it shows us calibration. The very first thing someone always wants to do is go to the calibration. Because the calibration is the main core and most important thing, I would say, about the MUNEVO Drive control. Because this is where we can actually calibrate and set the MUNEVO Drive to a position and driving range that someone wants to use to control the wheelchair. If we're going into calibration, there's 2 types of calibrations. Because we have 2 types of gestures, the driving gestures and the menu gestures, we also have 2 calibrations. The tilt calibration is a 30-second mode that will just tell me, and this will be written on screen, and I will also hear that through the speaker, which will tell me hold your head in center. It will tell me tilt your head up, tilt your head left, and tilt your head right. And during this 30 seconds, it will record how much movement do I use for all of the 4 directions. And this will be used for me to drive the chair afterwards. So for a patient of yours that has a good control of their head, they can calibrate a lot more movement here, because that gives them afterwards a lot more control over the speed. But someone who is more limited in their head range, they can calibrate the whole system to maybe even just a centimeter of movement of their head in all 4 directions. Or it might be asymmetrical. So it might be that on the left side, I have only a centimeter, but on my right side, I have a lot more range that I can use. All of this is possible and super important for a successful testing and also for successful usage of the device. So this takes 30 seconds. Once we're done, it will save this calibration, and we can go into the second calibration, which is the calibration of my rotations, of my head nods. So here it will be the same thing. The device will tell me nod 3 times up, nod 3 times down, 3 times to the right, and 3 times to the left. And also here it will save what movement am I using to control all 4 directions. And this will be quite specific to my head movement, because if I now would look at all of you, I would say, Sergio, do 3 nods for me. He will nod very differently than I would, or than Ricardo would, or than Marco would. So this is exactly calibrating to how is a nodding gesture looking like for my head movements. After we're all done with this, we can exit the calibration and it will all be saved. And because I know this question will probably come later, how often does someone have to do this? Absolutely depends. Depends on what, is it an ALS patient, is it an MS patient, depends on what wheelchair do they have, in which setting do they use MUNEVO, at home, outdoors, do they change their seating position often? I would say the tilts you want to recalibrate every single time when you're driving and you have the feeling it's not comfortable for me driving the left curve. I'm not getting far enough to drive the left curve consistently. I would go in and make the whole movement a little bit smaller. And this might be 1 time a week. This might be 1 time a day. This might be 5 times a day, depending on how often someone changes their range in the head. It might be fatiguing throughout the day. It might be a therapy session where afterwards the head is a little more loose. It might be a stiff neck in the morning. So a lot of things can influence how often someone runs this calibration. It's super important, though, to keep the calibration comfortable and accurate to how someone is moving their head. After we're done with the calibration, someone can go into Drive. And I'm going to show this here real quick. I hope most of you get a chance to see this device again when we're either at the Reha Care or afterwards on the roadshow, so in person, because it's a lot different than just seeing it here digitally on screen. But here a quick impression of what the person sees when they're gonna go into the driving menu. So I'm gonna see just this in the middle. This is what I see in the smart glass. It tells me I am in Drive, I'm in forwards Drive, and I still haven't replaced this picture with the German words on it. Shame on me. I'm in indoor Drive and the arrows are white. That means I'm not yet active. I can switch between my indoor, my slower and my faster profile with a little rotation of my head to the side, to left side, and I can switch between my forwards and my backwards with a little rotation to the right side. Once I'm in the driving profile that I like, indoor or forward, for example, I can activate the driving with a simple nod down. So if I drop my chin, the arrows turn orange. That means now I'm driving. So I can tilt my head up to drive forwards. I can tilt my head left and right, drive left and right. Once I'm done, I can stop the chair by bringing my head back to center and another nod down. So if I nod down 1 more time, it will get me back to the white arrows and I'm deactivated. And then from there, I can either lock the glasses, lock the smart glass, or go into my seating, or pick up with my voice control and say, okay, MUNEVO, go to seat recline. When I'm ready to drive again, I'm nodding down. it's activated, and I'm driving again. So this is quite simple. It's actually quite intuitive in driving, especially for people who used a head array before, because the tilts are the same movements. It is important for someone to have the coordination and the understanding of what the different head movements are. So besides the prerequisite of someone having enough control over their head, there is also a factor of understanding the difference between the tilts and the turns to the sides. These two things, I would say, are the main requirements that MUNEVO Drive would make sense for one of your patients. Do they have the control over their head, and do they have the coordination of their head to differentiate between what is a turn and what is a tilt? So this was the driving. The seating works exactly the same way. So I can navigate out of my driving, go into my seat. Inside the seat, I can scroll through all my seat modes, elevate, recline, legs, and so on. A nod down activates the seating, and a tilt to left and right controls the seating on my wheelchair. So this is exactly the same as driving the wheelchair. We have a little video that's on YouTube and on our website, which is showing exactly what I just talked about in the last 10 minutes, which driving controls, which gestures are needed, and how much of it. So here he's displaying of what's big movement, what small movements work. So this is a good reference if you have someone that's interested to check this video and see what head control and how far of a movement is needed to safely control the MUNEVO Drive. Okay. I initially started talking about it and said MUNEVO is more than just a wheelchair control. So let me quickly get back to this here. So MUNEVO is not just what we see up here, a wheelchair control or a seating control, but we actually have also, I initially talked about it, the camera inside that can take photos. We can connect with the smart glass directly to a phone, a computer, a tablet, an iPad, everything that's controlled or can be controlled via Bluetooth. And this will be a direct Bluetooth connection between the smart glass and the device. So that's independent of the wheelchair. Someone can use the Bluetooth control even if they are not in the wheelchair. We have voice control. So for someone who's capable of using their voice, currently the voice control is only in English and in German. I'm confident within the beginning of next year, we're going to get this also for the other languages that are available on the system. The voice control is simple, but it's super helpful for someone because it avoids to use too many head gestures. So all these movements, these little rotations to, for example, go from my drive to my seat, up, right, down, I can skip over all of them by, for example, saying, okay, MUNEVO, go to seat, recline. Okay, MUNEVO, go to drive. Okay, MUNEVO, calibrate, tilt. It will instantly jump to this point, so it will require a lot less head movements, being very beneficial for patients, also less fatiguing, less exhausting for the neck muscles, and it can also be a lot faster. We also have smart home control, so the MUNEVO can connect to smart home systems, and also to, I don't know if you're all familiar with the novo robot arm, but there's these robot arms that are on electric wheelchairs. We can also connect to those. But basically every device that you can connect with a Bluetooth mouse or a Bluetooth remote to, our glasses can also connect to and control them. Okay, I hope we didn't go through way too fast. I would leave now some time for questions. I don't know how you want to do it, Ricardo, if people are just unmuting themselves or if you have questions first.
I think that the people, if they have questions, can write, Sergio?
All right,
Vocês
awesome.
dizem.
Yes, can write or can talk in Portuguese and we can translate in English. So, se tiverem alguma questão, por favor, como o Ricardo iniciou, podem fazer aqui no chat ou então questionar diretamente, visto que temos ainda algum tempo.
Quem questionar diretamente, levanta a mão, que é para nós desbloquearmos o microfone.
Ok, temos aqui Marco António Pellegrini. Marco,
Oi, Sérgio.
boa tarde.
Jacob, boa tarde. Olha, muito grato pelo convite a estar.
Não estou a perceber, Marco, peço desculpa.
Escuta agora? Agora me escuta? Oi, Sérgio, me escuta agora?
Sim, agora estou a ouvir, sim.
Muito grato por estar aqui, pelo convite. A Mobilitec tem sido uma empresa muito importante aqui no Brasil, sempre apresentando novidades, trazendo soluções importantes para nós. O Jacob também, eu quero cumprimentá-lo e dizer que uso essa cadeira, uso a cadeira com controle de queixo há mais de 30 anos e conheço bem todas as inconveniências que o Jacob citou aqui. Realmente são inconveniências importantes, tanto que causam dores no pescoço, quanto na dificuldade. Você precisa ajustar o joystick o tempo todo para que ele não te machuque e que fique confortável. Então, é uma solução muito esperada essa.
But do you want us to translate, or you are going to translate?
Ok, mas isso, o que o Marco segundo estou a perceber, para dar fazer uma observação ao seu uso de dificuldades, como o seu Marco usa um comando de queixo, certo? Pronto, está a dar aqui um testemunho, mas neste caso aqui, para fazer a tradução aqui para o Jacob, alguma questão, Marco, uma dúvida?
Algumas dúvidas, vamos lá. Primeiro, na questão, para quem tem muito espasmo, como eu tenho, né? Então, tem esses espasmos que me jogam para trás e me travam. Como é que o sistema responde quanto a isso?
Ok. So Jacob, Marco start to introduce and there are agree about your points, the pain and the difficulties for to manage the wheelchair within the movements, always tired when in the long distance, and so he's what means it's agree about your the aspects that you explain. Now, Marco, I have a question about when you have a spasms. So when you have a spastic person, or like Marco said, sometimes Marco have a spasm and go to back on the chair or have some involuntary movements. And the question is, in this case, how the system works to prevent and to be safety on during this situation.
Good question, because I actually have three answers to that. Because there's three different things that would be a solution for a spasm. The first thing is the most basic one. In the calibration, when running the calibration, our smart glass actually records all of the head movement. So when, for example, calibrating the nodding gestures, it does not only recognize what a nod is, but the smart glass records the whole head movement in this scenario. So let's say someone calibrates it and has unwanted head movements while calibrating the smart glass. The smart glass will only take the nod that comes on top of the unwanted head movement. So later, if someone, for example, has a spasm and moves their head unwanted, the smart glass will not go left and right and up and down unwanted, but it will wait for what was calibrated and what was recorded as an actual nod down or up. I mean, the same is often asked with sneezing. What happens if I sneeze? I'm sneezing. Does the smart glass accidentally do something? In most cases, or barely ever, because my recorded head movement is different from any other unwanted head movement. And the glasses is really specifically filtering out what is the wanted head movement. But, and this is where I have two other questions, this only works to a certain degree. If we have a lot of unwanted head movement, a lot of spasm, and very little controlled head nod in between, this will be confusing in the signals. So that's why there's two other options. You mentioned that in your spasm, you would overstretch your back or move your head upwards. There is the possibility of switching the whole driving control around. So you can also drive the system by tilting your head forwards to go forwards. And what would then happen if you stretch your back is the wheelchair just stops, because the tilting up will then be stopping the wheelchair. So generally, normally our device works with tilting up is driving forward, but you can switch around and then you drive by tilting down. And if you bring your head up, or for example, you overstretch because of a spasm, it will actually just stop the wheelchair. The third thing is something we actually just introduced last month, and it's called safety zone. And it is a setting that can be done in the smart glass that sets a range around your head. And if you go past this range in any direction, you can program a safety stop. So let's say I'm calibrating my range that I want to use for driving. And now I can have a kind of like a ring around my head. And if I go beyond this point, the smart glass will not operate anymore. The smart glass will just lock me out of driving. It will not turn the wheelchair off, but it will stop the wheelchair from driving. So what we could do in this case is, for example, it would be a very individual thing, but if you know during your spasm, you're overstretching your head, you can set a safety zone there. So whenever this happens, the smart glass will automatically stop the chair and will wait for you to return to center to pick up the driving again. So this is...
Okay, let me to translate. Okay.
Sorry, that's some translation work.
No worries. I hope to remind every answer. So, Marco, qual a situação? Boa questão, obrigado. A questão aqui diz que há três soluções ou três questões que são particularmente níveis de segurança. Quando o sistema, ou seja, quando se faz a calibração é feita com movimentos finos, ou seja, quando nós calibramos, o sistema vai indicar basicamente 3 movimentos para a esquerda, ou 3 movimentos para a direita, para cima ou para baixo, e ele vai memorizar esses movimentos que foram feitos com a sua cabeça. Ou seja, todos os movimentos que existem fora desse parâmetros que foram memorizados, ou seja, o sistema vai filtrar qual o movimento fino e não responde aos involuntários. A segunda situação foi, mesmo quando existe um espirro, né, porque há um movimento que é automático de cima a baixo, quando existe o espirro, que é um movimento que tem uma velocidade diferente aos parâmetros de quando se é calibrado, portanto o sistema vai detectar que não vai responder a esse movimento que existe. Segundo, falou acerca de o espaço, ou seja, que é basicamente um sensor de báscula. Basicamente, quando há um movimento que passa fora do raio dos parâmetros da qual está memorizado, a cadeira pura e simplesmente vai fechar o sistema, ou seja, a cadeira não se move. Portanto, o sistema bloqueia a cadeira. O último questão foi algo que lançaram recentemente, ou seja, um update com o vosso sistema, foi quando há, por exemplo, um movimento em que vai mais para o lado, ou seja, que sai fora do raio da ação, ou seja, do raio de parametrização, mesmo que seja para o lado, a cadeira não vai responder. vai sim aguardar que volte, por exemplo, uma questão de uma normalização, não é? Basicamente a cabeça fica direita, numa posição mais neutral, e aí sim vai responder novamente às indicações que o cliente vai dar à cadeira. Ok? Espero que tenha conseguido traduzir bem. Marco, não sei se está a falar, se há mais alguma questão.
Sérgio, muito boa
Oi?
resposta. Muito boa resposta. Uma outra pergunta, como é que a gente ajusta a velocidade?
Eu essa eu consigo quase responder, mas vou deixar para o Jacob. The next question, Jacob, is how the user can adjust the speed or the profiles on the wheelchair, on the system. I said I can answer because I can do it, but
I will do it quick and then you can. So you can simply switch between different driving profiles in the driving screen. So you have an indoor and an outdoor profile with different speeds. And then within the profile, you can also switch between the 5 different speed levels. It's also in the driving screen. It's just basically a combination of head movements. So as soon as you're driving, there will be an icon on the side that shows speed control. And if you enter that, you can select your speed just by moving your head. So both having 2 fully programmed profiles is possible, and within the profile, adjusting the speed through the smart glass is also possible.
Para traduzir, naquele ecrã, ou seja, com os movimentos nós com os óculos vamos conseguir controlar toda a funcionalidade da cadeira, desde a condução, como é óbvio, e depois com as indicações que nós vamos dar. Pronto, o Jacob explicou no início que há algumas movimentações do sim, não para controlar a cadeira e da rotação para controlar menus da cadeira. Portanto, num desses menus que nós vamos ver sobre aquele ecrã, mini ecrã, nós vamos aceder à função de speed, ou de velocidades, ou de funções do assento, e depois da mesma forma como conduzimos a cadeira para a frente ou para trás, vamos aumentar ou baixar a velocidade. Depois de selecionarmos, voltamos ao menu de condução e controlamos a cadeira. Se a Marco estiver a falar, o micro... Okay.
Quando a cadeira quando eu estou me deslocando com a cadeira, eu não mudo essa velocidade dinamicamente, né? Eu sempre preciso alterar ela no ecrã. Não consigo fazer proporcional, né? Quando eu estou dirigindo, no joystick, quando eu aciono, se eu vou pouco, ela vai devagar. Se eu aumento, ela vai mais rápido.
Ok, já percebi. The question is, Jacob, on the joystick, the Marco and the users, when you use the joystick, use the proportional movement. So when you're pushing slow, go slow, and you push strong, go fast. Okay. How it works with this system?
Exactly the same. It's also proportional. So the further you move your head, the faster the wheelchair goes, up to the point that you calibrated. So the calibrated movement is your maximum throw or your maximum movement, and in between it's proportional.
Marco, explicação este comando basicamente é um comando proporcional. Okay, da mesma função, da mesma funcionalidade em que quanto mais empurra o joystick, seja com o queixo ou com a mão, mais rápido vai, com o movimento da cabeça a mesma coisa. Quanto mais levantar, este pequeno movimento, quanto mais levantar, mais a cadeira anda. Ou seja, este joystick, este sistema não é um sistema de controle de cadeira por switch, mas sim proporcional. Portanto, basicamente o funcionamento é como se fosse um joystick.
Mais uma pergunta, Sérgio, posso?
Sim, claro.
Quando eu estou me deslocando, eu vou descer uma rampa, eu consigo mexer o sitting, né, fazer o tilt da cadeira com comando de voz, sem precisar parar de me deslocar?
Vou deixar ele responder. Jacob, when the user ride the chair and goes down, can move the seat function, the actuators on the chair with a voice. So, for example, like go MUNEVO put tilting on or something like that.
So all voice control right now is just for menu navigation. So I can say, okay, MUNEVO, open recline, open seat lift, open, but from there I will do a tilt to control the seating. It's the same for the driving. I can say, okay, MUNEVO, go to drive, but I will have to drive with my head. Any wheelchair operation with voice is regulatory-wise or safety-wise very, very difficult. So it's not something we're gonna do. But what you can do for seating is you could latch the actuators. You could go in and say, okay, MUNEVO, open recline. And then instead of holding your head, you're just activating the actuator and stopping it again. But it will require head movements for all wheelchair operations.
So every these movements you need to stop and to control the wheelchair, the functions.
Yes, it's not purely by voice control possible. Voice control is only for getting you to the different
Marco, a resposta é não à questão que estava a dizer, ou seja, basicamente o sistema de controle de voz, quando diz go to MUNEVO, go to qualquer coisa, é basicamente uma tecla de atalho, ou seja, mesmo que seja para a condução, ou seja para qualquer outra funcionalidade do joystick, do sistema, ele vai entrar no submenu. Toda a coordenação, ou seja, toda a movimentação de puxar frente abaixo para o tilt ou levantar o assento, seja qualquer funcionalidade, tem que ser com os movimentos da cabeça. Portanto, na resposta à sua questão, não consegue controlar por voz qualquer movimentação. Aliás, como ele aqui explicou, a nível de regulamentação não dá. E toda essa movimentação tem que ser feita com movimentos coordenados por parte do utilizador.
Entendi. Agora, mais uma questão. Quando eu tenho uma rampa muito inclinada, como é que o sistema se comporta, uma vez que eu calibrei ele na posição horizontal, né? Sem nenhum ângulo?
Ok, boa questão. Jacob, when the user go like down on the climbing like a ramp with a high inclination, and if when we save or we calibrate the joystick in the neutral position, and when goes down, so the movement moving, okay, so always the chair always the system answer when goes down and feel the neutral movement in a different position.
That's good, because I actually forgot to say that before. So I talked about the 30-second full calibration of the system, but what I forgot to say is that the system also has a auto recentering, a auto neutral calibration, which every time I'm entering the driving and the smart glass recognizes it's not in center, it's not in the middle, it will automatically adjust the center. So what would happen in your scenario that you're driving either down or up a hill is when you go into the driving and the smart glass recognizes I'm in a different position, it will select your new position as the new center. This might be either a hill, but it could also be if you're changing your seating position in your chair by a little bit, backwards, for example. The smart glass is also in a new orientation. It's in a new direction. And it will automatically recalibrate only the center. And this will happen in 3 seconds. You enter the driving, it will tell you 3, 2, 1, and then you have your new center. And then from there, you can use your normal head gestures.
Então, Marco, boa questão. Por acaso não abordou essa situação quando falou na calibração, portanto, ainda bem tocou nesse ponto. A questão que eu ia dizer é quando, ou seja, o sistema, basicamente, ao sentir, ou seja, o sensor, ao sentir que há uma diferença na parte horizontal do previamente calibrado, ok? Ele automaticamente vai se recalibrar somente na posição 0. ok? Ou seja, todos os movimentos para cima ou para baixo de velocidade, esses não. Portanto, todo esse movimento, toda a calibração, quando há, ou seja, numa subida ou numa descida, em que há uma movimentação do ponto zero, ele vai-se calibrar.
Só mais
Ok?
uma colocação, Sérgio.
Vamos que estamos...
É um sonho de consumo, que essa calibração que ele tem automática, se ele não poderia implementar que ele corrija o tilt da cadeira, né, a cadeira que tem o tilt, para quando eu desço a rampa, ela tornar a posição de repouso, né? Ela calibrar o assento para que eu desça sempre na posição mais confortável, entendeu?
Não, Marco, peço desculpa, eu agora não percebi. Eu também sou estou a ouvir um bocadinho ao longe.
É um sonho de consumo. Se ele pode implementar. Quando eu desço uma rampa, ela automaticamente aciona o tilt da cadeira e deixa a cadeira na posição horizontal assim.
Ok, ok, já percebi a questão. Marco ask if you can introduce the system, for example, when the chair goes down or up, okay, if you can program on the system that to move the actuator, for example, when the chair goes down on the ramp, to move the seat to calibrate like a 0 or 5, not a 0 but 10, 15 degrees for compensate the inclination on the chair. You understand the question?
I understand the question. Currently not, but it's something interesting I'll take as a feedback for our team. But currently not, no. Currently will not automatically change the seat position to adjust.
Neste momento não, Marco, uma boa questão, vai averiguar isso com a equipa da R&D para ver isso, uma possibilidade no futuro de melhorar o sistema.
Jacob, eu agradeço e
Nós
é
também.
excelente, o seu produto é muito bom, viu? É algo muito esperado. Parabéns aí pelo produto.
Ok, obrigado, Marco. He said thanks for the presentation. He apparently he looks your system and he are waiting to test the system. Yeah?
Sounds good.
Ok.
Sérgio,
Há mais alguma
no grupo.
uma questão?
Eu, entretanto, vou só partilhar o QR Code. Eu já meti no grupo, está bem?
Só... ok. Sim.
Eu vou partilhar o QR Code também
Mas antes disso,
para quem preferir.
Antes disso, eu tinha aqui uma situação. Jacob, I don't know if I have more questions. Há mais alguma questão?
Há uma no grupo, no chat.
Desculpa, que aqui não vi. E no WhatsApp, ok. Temos aqui uma questão da Joana Cardoso, Pinto Correia, que já me facilitou a vida em traduzir, portanto, obrigado. So the question is, in what situations of motor incapacity has it been tested?
Motor incapacity. Jana, what exactly do you mean with motor incapacity that we tested? So maybe quick answer first. So I mean, we tested our device for everything needs to be tested for being regularly approved as a medical device. On top of that, we do have combination agreements with all wheelchairs, also with our new adapter and all RNet systems, Permobil, Sunrise, and so on. So that means testing from our side and testing from their side for all scenarios. But if something goes beyond what I've just said, then maybe you can specify what you mean with motor incapacities.
Okay. Joana, Clara, mas alguma dúvida relativa a esta questão? Okay. I mean the users, not about the products, but in the users.
Okay. I'm just thinking of how to what the What exact incapacities do you mean that it has been tested? Like during the situation?
I understand
Just
about
maybe-
what kind of client users with these capacities are you testing with for to have the results of the product, for example, like in the muscular dystrophies, ALS. So
Yep.
I mean,
what
diagnosis.
yeah, I mean, I would say the majority of our users is with MS, ALS, high spinal cord injuries. I do know we have CP, Duchenne, SMA clients, and a couple of. I mean, I would say it's less of a. I wouldn't want to pin down the MUNEVO drive being suitable for a certain disease or a certain. It's a functional assessment I should make. Number one, is there enough head movement for, even if it's just a little bit, but enough head movement to do a head control in all directions? And the second thing is the person always able to return their head to the center? And then the third thing is that we talked about briefly before was spasms. And I would say up to a certain degree, our system can make up for that, like head control. Past a certain point, we would just have to try it because the filtering of the software works really, really well, but it has its limits. So this combination of enough head movement, head control, and some controlled head movement on top of the unwanted head movement, that's the prerequisite. But I can't pin it down to a certain type of motor incapacity or a certain type of disease where it would work or it wouldn't work. It's more a functional assessment I would make. I mean, it's probably maybe an unsatisfying answer to what exactly has been tested for, but it's a user to user basis, and I would really look at, is the function giving and is the control there, and then it's at least safe to use it. And because it can be calibrated, we can really fine tune it into how much does this person want to move their head to control it.
Joana, claro agora? Okay. Obrigado, Joana. Thank you. So we have another question. So from Sara Carvalho. Olá, Sarinha. Hello, everyone. Thank you to Mobilitech and Jacob. I am an SMA patient, spinal muscular atrophy. And first, I would like to ask if you have many users with the same disorder as me. Okay, it's one question. Every day, it's getting harder to use my hands, so I'm very interested in every alternative available. Personally, I am doubtful I can use the MUNEVO system because of the required head movements, and I don't even know if it's compatible with my wheelchair. But I'm obviously come on, very curious, and you talked about the roadshow. Can you give us any information on that? Thank you. So one of the answers is the user have a Permobil F3. Okay, so this I can answer you. So it's possible, of course.
Also answers directly the question below. Suitable for all RNet chairs, yes. On top of that, also suitable for all Invacare or Quantum chairs, but our new adapter that's directly plugging into the bus system that's working on all sorts of RNet chairs. Back to you, Sergio.
Okay. Acerca do roadshow, Sara, nós depois vamos fazer essa comunicação, portanto, vai ser mais para o final de setembro, porque agora vive este período pós-férias, pronto, estamos aqui a entrar, vamos ter também uma feira e o Jacob vai estar a apresentar a feira da Alemanha, que vai ser de 17 a 20 na Reacare, portanto, das feiras mais importantes no nosso setor, e depois disso, na semana seguinte ou 2 semanas depois, portanto, estamos aqui a acordar as datas, depois também ficamos com toda a logística para isso, para o Jacob vir cá. Se mostrar interesse nisso, nós depois falamos e combinamos, e sim, a Sara pode ser uma pessoa importante também para testarmos o sistema, visto que também nós também estamos em período de formação e de testes. Portanto, vamos contar consigo, tá bom, Sara? Obrigado. Mais questões? João Souza.
Temos uma mão levantada.
João Souza.
Olá, boa noite a todos. Boa noite, Sérgio. Boa noite, Jacob. Minha questão é rápida, eu não sei se foi dito, mas não apanhei. É sempre necessário ter um hardware extra para ligar ao dispositivo ou pode ser ligado diretamente ao Omni, ao controlador da cadeira?
Okay. Vou fazer essa questão a Jacob. Por acaso já estava em condições de responder, mas depois pode Jacob. Jacob, the question is, João, question. It is the system. It's needs to have a hardware or a device, link device, for to adapt on the system directly, or needs to have a Omni system or interface between the system and the chair. Please put on your micro, please.
Yes, true. Great point, because for RNet chairs, we don't require an input module since beginning of this year, because we have a new MUNEVO adapter that connects directly to the bus system of the wheelchair. So we don't need any Omni in between, which is less things to install, but also a lot less programming and setup, because it's plugging it into the wheelchair and it is working. I mean, I think MobileTech Sergio just installed our demo unit, so be my proof my point here. It's really, you plug it into the bus system of the wheelchair, you restart the wheelchair one time, and that's the whole setup. And then the only thing you can do is adjust some speeds or accelerations, but you don't need to do any Omni programming or menu items, switch detects, and so on. So it's plug and play.
E aqui também já respondemos aqui à questão do Marco, se é para o sistema ERNET. Sim, vou aqui também só fazer uma breve tradução. Sim, o sistema pode ser ligado diretamente a todas as cadeiras com ERNET, tecnologia ERNET, Curtiss-Wright ou Penn&Jars, como entendermos que é o fabricante. E basicamente para utilizarmos o sistema da MUNEVO só é preciso o MUNEVO Adapter. Pronto, tem que haver ali algum interface para fazer a comunicação entre o sistema e a cadeira. Portanto, não há necessidade de usar Omni, portanto, é um custo que não é necessário. No entanto, se o cliente já tiver o Omni, existe a versão para usar com Omni, com o sistema Omni. Mais alguma questão? Okay. Apparently no more questions, but I have a question. Okay. So Jacob, so the glasses for on the situation is not the real glasses, is only the frame, okay? And the question is, if the user are using glasses, or if how it works, it's possible to adapt lens on the glasses, or if the user have glasses, can adjust on the frame?
Yes, another good one. Just going to jump back here.
Just a second, just to translate to Portuguese. Minha questão aqui é o seguinte, como nós aqui percebemos, o sistema está acoplado a um frame ou uma armação de óculos, para suportar o peso e manter a neutralidade, mas pronto, como reparamos, temos clientes que possam usar óculos, e aqui a minha questão é o seguinte, como nós podemos usar o sistema se o cliente usa óculos, ou por lentes adaptadas na armação, ou até mesmo nos próprios óculos que o cliente possa ter. So please, Jacob.
Yeah. So the solution is just that we have actually we have two different solutions. One is the frames that we use normally without optic lenses, and there is a special version where optic lenses can be put in. That's here on the left. Or the other solution is a little, you see it here on the right, a little adapter that can be connected to different frames. and then the right bar of the frames will be replaced by our smart glass arm. So maybe here's another picture. And like this, we can either plug in the smart glass to someone's own glasses, or we have a couple of frames that can be ordered from us, different colors, different sizes. And then all that happens is they can put in optic lenses into these frames, and it's normal frames, but just the right bar, the right arm of this glasses will be the smart glass arm. So like here, and here comes in the smart glass.
Okay, but for himself glasses, it's the universal adapter, or
I mean, we recommend ordering one from our shelf because then it's just coming all in one system. And it works with most glasses. With most all own glasses, this will work. I can't say it's universal because there's not really a standardized glass frame pattern. So it will work on a lot of different frames. But the easiest way is to just get the frames from us directly and then put in the optic lenses into these frames.
Thank you. So please back to the first
Yes.
picture.
Oh, yeah.
Ok. So, pronto, aqui a resposta é o seguinte, que é a armação que vem com os óculos, portanto, pode vir preparada com a colocação de 2 parafusos, onde... Peço desculpa. E depois, na fabricação das lentes, que viram com o desenho técnico, podemos pedir à MUNEVO, onde pronto, podem ser aplicadas as lentes diretamente, fabricado, claro, conforme aquelas medidas e aquelas especificações, serem conectadas diretamente à armação através de 2 parafusos em cada lente. Na questão dos próprios óculos de cliente, existe um interface que estamos ali, pronto, que vemos ali naquela fotografia do lado direito, onde basicamente na parte direita da armação dos óculos do cliente já tem, é retirada a haste, colocado este adaptador e depois este adaptador é colocado na estrutura do MUNEVO e permite usar os óculos que o cliente já possui. Thanks, Jacob. Myself have no more questions. Não sei se vocês têm mais alguma questão. Já estamos a passar 20 minutos do tempo previsto, por nós sem problema algum, mas se tiverem mais alguma questão, por favor, estão no sítio certo para clarificar todas as dúvidas. Caso não haja, como já aqui expliquei na resposta à Sara, nós vamos promover um roadshow, ou seja, em todo Portugal. Estamos ainda na questão da organização da parte logística, depois entraremos em contacto e através das nossas redes sociais onde vamos estar, e quem tiver ou conhecer, que queira experimentar, nós já temos uma unidade de demos, já aplicamos na nossa cadeira, portanto já estamos aptos a fazer testes para verificarmos se é uma nova solução e se é uma solução ideal para os nossos clientes. Portanto, estejam à vontade, já temos o equipamento para testarmos com clientes.
Deixa só aqui dar um reforço aqui ao pessoal que quem precisar do certificado de formação, que o formulário está online, está no chat, mas também posso aproveitar para partilhar aqui o QR Code também, para quem esteja no computador seja mais fácil, enquanto falamos.
Portanto, resta-nos então solicitar que no questionário e que nos faça a avaliação, deixem então os vossos nomes para o preenchimento dos certificados. Resta-nos agora agradecer a todos vocês que estiveram aqui juntamente connosco para mais uma partilha de informação, já depois do horário de trabalho, seja o vosso descanso foi utilizado aqui e muito bem, portanto numa boa sessão, portanto resta-nos agradecer. Marco, obrigado pela sua partilha, Sara e a Joana, todas as questões que fizeram aqui, muito obrigado pelos vossos pelas vossas questões. E pronto, o resto nos mesmo agradecer. Jacob, thank you very much for your time. So for us it's late, it's around 9 o'clock, but I believe for you is more later. So thank you very much for your time to join with us, and see you soon. And let's to organize the roadshow for people test the product and see the benefits of it. Okay, thank you very much. Auf Wiedersehen.
Yes, thank you. Obrigado. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Pronto, boa noite a todos. Não sei se mais alguém quer partilhar. Ricardo, despedimos-nos então aqui. Em nosso nome, nome da Mobilitech, todo o grupo, toda a equipa. Um bem-aja a todos. Muito mais uma vez, muito obrigado pela vossa presença para estar aqui.
Muito obrigado a todos pela presença.
And let's go dinner.
Thank you so much, Jacob. It was really good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. And see you latest at Rayhack here, I guess.
Yes. Jacob, I need invitations. I forgot. You have some invitations for us?
Say it again.
We need you need invitations for the exhibition for Rayhack.
For Rayhack, yeah?
Yes, you have it.